you're fat. Maybe you're fat. Running, this can be Pilates, reformer Pilates. And that's not me being horrible, that's just me telling you the truth. If sleep was on the market as a supplement, every single one of you watching this would buy it. So this is actually the second time that I'm about to film this video. I already did this a week ago, what I'm about to show you, and I accidentally deleted all the files. So it's my first experience filming a YouTube video and losing all the files. I would highly recommend you don't give it a go because it's the most infuriating thing knowing that I've already spoke through everything I'm about to speak to. Having said that, for anyone new here, thank you for being here. Please drop me a subscribe if you find what I'm about to tell you helpful. Now, it's a sit down video, it's a talking video, it's not training, we're not up, we're not active, it's me and a whiteboard. And what I'm about to say is I took last week as a sign to go and buy a new whiteboard. A slightly bigger whiteboard. The one I had was okay, but I think this one is a bit more, it's more engaging, it's larger, I can put more things on the whiteboard. And basically what this video is about is how to lose 10 kg by summer. Now, that is a bit of a hook, obviously. It's not going to be bang on 10 kg, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to run you through my 3-phased approach that will allow you to lose up to 10 kg by summer. And it's obviously down to how well you adhere to it, right? If you put the effort in, the structure and the framework that I'm about to show you can see you lose up to 10 kg. It's not impossible. 12 weeks is a long time, and I'm going to break down each phase. So in each phase, you're going to have sort of 4 weeks to work through. And the idea, it's almost like a snowball effect. It's what we do in a sense of what I do with my clients. We compound wins. This is to go with an ebook that I'm currently working on. So if you like this video and you don't follow me on Instagram, head over to my Instagram because by the time you see this, it's likely my ebook will be live. But basically, I'll be running through in the ebook what I'm about to talk to you now. So, how to lose 10 kg by summer. Let's dive straight in. So your first phase is what I like to call the foundation phase. Now, in that phase is where you're laying out your structure, right? We're looking for 3 to 4 workouts a week. And I'm trying to multitask here, so please forgive me if I'm not the best at that. I'm gonna try and write and talk to you at the same time. So we're looking for 3 to 4 workouts a week. We're looking for a calorie deficit, and we are looking at getting in a bare minimum 10,000 steps, all right? There's a couple of other bits to this phase, but I'll start with these 3. So your calorie deficit, you're gonna have to go online and you're gonna have to look up some of the macro calculators, input your data. I don't love macro calculators online because I don't think they take into account you as an individual. They don't take into account your job. Well, some of them do. They don't take into account your job, your general day-to-day activities, whether you've got kids, you name it. It doesn't take into account that. But we need to just get you into a calorie deficit to begin with. We need to start chipping away at your body weight, right? Because you don't have forever. You've got 12 weeks, which might sound like a lot, but in terms of fat loss, I love 16 weeks. I think that's a great field to play in because it gives you more room to be a little more relaxed and actually enjoy life. By the time you get to the 3rd phase here, you are locking in. And again, it depends on how much you need to lose, right? So we need to get you in a calorie deficit and we need to get your expenditure up. Now, if you're someone who doesn't currently track their steps and you want to go on a fat loss journey, I would highly recommend you begin tracking your steps. So you can go on Amazon, you can pick up a step counter, they're like 15 quid. If you want to go a bit more, you've got your Apple Watches, you've got your Fitbits, even your phone probably tracks it, but I do think something on the wrist is a little bit more accurate. Bearing in mind, you don't always have your phone in your pocket, right? So in this phase, we just need to begin the foundations. Now, I've referenced 3 to 4 workouts because we need to get moving. Now, this doesn't have to be 3 to 4 gym workouts. You'll notice I didn't write gym there. 3 to 4 workouts. This can be home workouts. This can be running. This can be Pilates, reformer Pilates, whatever it might be. But we need to start doing something to see a physical change in our body. But the overarching point here is that you need to be moving. And if we're moving, it should link into my final step in this phase, and that's prioritizing your sleep. Sleep is very often overlooked when it comes to fat loss because we don't necessarily take into consideration how much sleep can actually have an impact on how you feel. And how you feel directly links to your calorie deficit, right? A lot of the time, calorie deficits are associated with things feeling difficult. You go into a deficit, you struggle, fat loss is not easy, is an overarching point. But what if I told you that if you started taking a little bit more care around your sleep, around your recovery, that fat loss becomes a little bit easier? And the reason I say that is if sleep was on the market as a supplement, every single one of you watching this would buy it. That's how useful sleep is. So I want us to start trying to improve the lifestyle habits, the steps, the sleep, and then link that in with us being in a calorie deficit and us prioritizing our training. This nicely segues us into the acceleration phase. So over in this phase, we are going to start working on progressive overload. Now, you might have heard that term thrown around a little bit in the fitness space, but what we're looking at here is leveling up our training. So if we're in the gym 3-4 times a week, we could potentially increase that to 5, but I don't think we need to straight away. Bear in mind, you're only 5 or 6 weeks in at this point. But what we can do is improve our training. And progressively overloading our training is the key to muscle growth. Now, if you want to lose weight, you want to have a nice physique underneath. You don't want to lose all that weight and then have no frame to display, right? So if we are progressively overloading the gym, it's likely we are building muscle. Now, that leads me into my second point, prioritizing our protein. This is almost that important that it should be in phase 1, but it's really important that when you go through this journey, you're not overwhelming yourself. So the idea is to keep it very simple to get your foot in the door. Once your foot is in the door, this is when you need to start being better. So it's why we call it the acceleration phase, because you're not a beginner anymore. You've started pushing yourself now. You're becoming more comfortable with your training. You're becoming more comfortable with your steps and your sleep. This is where you then need to level up. So even though we're going to stay in a calorie deficit, we need to make sure we're hitting a sufficient amount of protein. So I like, as a good rule of thumb, 1.5 kg to 2 kg of protein per kg of body weight. So I'll give you an example. If you weigh 100 kg, you should aim somewhere between 150 grams of protein to 200 grams of protein per day. Now, I like to go on the upper end of that range for me and my clients, just largely because I like to call it like an insurance policy. If I'm overeating my protein, I'm not mad. As long as I'm in a calorie deficit, I'm happy. I'd rather overeat it than undereat it. That's just the approach that I take. But also in this phase, we need to tighten things up. First phase, you may be a little bit lax, you may snack here and there, but in this phase, we're hoping to see 3 to 4 kg coming off at this point in our journey. So with that being said, we need to limit snacking. And you might not like to hear that, but one thing I'm going to remind you here is that you're going through a fat loss journey for a reason. You're going through a weight loss journey for a reason. You're not happy with how you look. So if you're not happy with how you look, to see change, you've got to make change. And it's very cringy and cliche and motivational, but the reality is when you break down that saying, it's so relevant. You have put yourself in a position where you're not happy with your body. You're fat. Maybe you're fat and you want to get back to a dress size maybe that you was last year. So to get there, you're going to have to do something different than what you're already doing. And this might mean putting the digestives down. It might mean not touching that cake in the office. It might mean swapping the snacks for some fruit. There's ways around it, but ultimately you've got to be doing something that you weren't already doing. So we need to limit our snacking, and we probably want to look at increasing our overall expenditure. And a good way of doing this is increasing cardio or adding in cardio. So I'll assume we weren't doing any cardio in phase 1. So if we are doing 3 to 4 workouts per week, and we are strength training, let's say for instance we are lifting weights 3 to 4 times a week, I want us to then add in some cardio post session. So this can be something very low intensity. I like to call this, well, I don't like to call this, it is called LISS. So low intensity steady state. And this means simply getting on a treadmill, incline walking, Stairmaster, cycling, you name it, averaging your heart rate somewhere between 120 and 150 BPM. Again, very individual, but somewhere in that bracket, I would like to count that as low intensity cardio. Now, this is going to be a good form of cardio for a lot of you because you'll be able to do it and you'll feel pretty okay after. It's not like going for a run. You'll be able to do your cardio and you'll be able to bounce back straight away. You'll get off the treadmill, you'll go on with your day. Most of you watching this, if you went and done a 5 to 10K run, you're probably going to be wiped out for most of the day. And that's not me being horrible, that's just me telling you the truth. So get yourself some low intensity cardio and you will be able to repeat that a couple of times a week. Again, increasing your deficit. So by the end of this phase, we are 8 weeks in. We should see physical changes. We should see the number on the scales changing. So the final phase, the last 4 weeks, and let's imagine this is the last 4 weeks before you go on holiday. So in this phase, we are dialing the hell in, okay? So if you're hitting your 3-4 workouts, I want us to up that by 1. So 4, possibly 5 workouts. I also want us to increase the deficit. So this is likely gonna come from your food. This can come from other means, but I want us to drop our food last 4 weeks. Really important, because if we're increasing our expenditure, the food goes down as well, we're gonna be getting closer to that 10 kg drop. And again, very individual. I don't know how much weight you need to lose, but this is a guideline for someone who may need to lose up to 10 kg. Steps are going up, 12K steps. Again, you can see what we're doing is the deficit is increasing. So our overall expenditure is going up, our food is going down, and our NEAT, which is our non-exercise related energy, is also going up. This phase is supposed to be difficult. I don't want you to get to this phase and then start getting overwhelmed in the sense of, oh my God, I'm so hungry. Oh my God, I've got to do so much. It's 4 weeks of work. Fat loss is supposed to be difficult. I say it a lot on my Instagram. I say it a lot to my clients. You're not supposed to necessarily enjoy fat loss. Of course, you can find it enjoyable if you're good at it, but ultimately you are going to suffer and you are going to struggle. And there's nothing wrong with that because you're in it for 4 weeks. You're literally dialing in for 4 weeks. I also want us to focus on zero snacking, all right? In the first 8 weeks, you may have been able to get away with a digestive there. Last 4 weeks, I don't want to see none of that, all right? I need you to really focus in. And because we're really focusing in, I need that recovery to improve. So I mentioned in the first phase how we're going to focus down on our sleep. In this phase, I think we need to level things up a little bit more. So possibly daily stretching. I'll be honest with you, right? Let me tell you something. Anyone that does 12K steps daily, or let me speak personally, If I do 12K steps daily and I do a lot of walking in my job, my legs are tired by the end of the day. So I always make sure I set aside 5 to 10 minutes of just a little bit of stretching. That's what I want you to focus on here. Maybe you go and get a sports massage. Maybe you prioritize your recovery after session. If your gym has a sauna, maybe we're doing the sauna, maybe we're doing the steam room. But in this phase, I want you to start treating yourself like an athlete. And you might laugh when I say that because if you're someone watching this and you need to lose 10 kg, you might be thinking you couldn't be any further away from an athlete. When I use the word athlete, I'm sure Ronaldo comes to your mind, Messi, LeBron, these sort of big names, right? But the reason I say to you, treat yourself like an athlete, and it's the same thing I talk to my clients, it's the same way I talk to my clients, is because it's about your personal standard. It's about how high you hold yourself in regards to your physical health and your mental health. A lot of this is going to tie you into positive physical and mental health. And if you start treating yourself like an athlete, it doesn't mean that you are an athlete. It means that you take your health and well-being as seriously as an athlete. And I promise you, if you start doing that, you will never look back. So just to round things off, that's pretty much your 12 weeks on a whiteboard. So in there, what we're looking at doing is building and compounding wins. So you've got your first 4 weeks of the foundation phase. You're then looking to improve that over the next 4. And then in the last 4, we're behaving like an athlete. So if you follow this framework and you found this useful, please let me know how you get on. If you need any more help with it, then obviously I'm available in the DMs. You can drop me a comment. However you want to contact me, please let me know. If you need more guidance and you need more structure to implement all of this, I am an online coach. I am a personal trainer. Come and talk to me. I might be able to help you on top of all of this. Even if it's just a question, just ask, all right? It won't hurt just to ask. And as I said in the beginning, I do have an ebook coming out that is going to outline all of this in a book format, which some of you may find easier to follow. But I'm personally a visual learner, so I thought putting it down on a whiteboard would serve as beneficial to a lot of you. So I hope you found this useful. If you did, please drop me a subscribe. I know it's a slightly different video. For some of you, this is not as entertaining as seeing me in the gym, but for some of you, you may have found some value in this. So if you did like it, like I said, drop me a like and I will catch you in the next one.